And we're live. People, deluded. I'm back again. We got a gal in the building. We saying, my guy? You good?
I'm chilling. Not feeling well, but I'm gonna get over it. You know what it is. What you saying?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you even more, man. The guy's sick and he's still here, people. Make sure you're following his platform. If you're too lazy to type in Egal Talks Football, again, it's in the title. Mods, I know one of you have posted it. Keep posting it. We've got nothing but a lot to speak about, my guy. And I know me and you, we're Arsenal fans. We're good friends. We have a good chat. And I think sometimes I don't add enough structure that the fans want, yeah. So I kind of want to add some structure to this, yeah. But I've seen a series of tweets from yourself. And I thought, you know what? Let me just ask you about them. First thing I want to get off the bat here is when you see this, what do you feel? And especially that comment, it says our floor is their ceiling. Anyone that's just listening and can't actually see, it says Premier League max total points last 2 years. Liverpool have 86. We've got 89. What's the first thing that jumps out for you at that?
What can you do? It doesn't. Unfortunately, football's not fair. Unfortunately,
life isn't fair. If life was fair, we'd have a lot less.
Yeah, unfortunately, football's not fair. Life's not fair. You don't always get what you want. It's just how it is.
So we can't have any complaints that we haven't won the league in the last 3 years. And based on what you said then about like life isn't fair, can we really keep using tags around our club about we've been unlucky, we've been unfortunate not to get any silverware for you?
No, we definitely been unfortunate, but to other people's benefit, you know what I mean?
It's sad, man. It's sad because it's like we're the brides, we're never getting married, but it is what it is, man. If I'm completely honest with you, you then said, yeah, you said this on Twitter. A lot of rival fans laugh about Arsenal finishing second 3 years in a row, but behind closed doors, they would switch places with Arsenal in a heartbeat. For those that are seeing that for the first time, what do you mean by that?
They would rather be in our position, challenging for the league, being up there in the Champions League semifinals, being up there in the Champions League quarterfinals year in, year out, showing that the team's competitive. Look at Spurs over the last couple of years. Look at Chelsea over the last couple of years. I think a lot of their fans would switch places with us, not to say that they would want to be second 3 years in a row, but to at least be seeing their team competing, getting more points, getting their squad closer to those major honors. Because Chelsea, you could say, you know what, they're a couple years behind us. Man United, they're literally about to start a whole rebuild. And Spurs, if they win the Europa League, that's going to be the biggest thing that they've had in their club's history in over a couple decades. So fair play to them, but they would rather, I think they would rather switch positions with us based on their recent history. Shows that they would rather be back in the Champions League, competitive in the league. Being 17th or 16th, I know for a fact both Man United and Spurs fans would definitely rather be higher up the table. And being second, you might be, people say being second is the first loser. No, it's not. Being second is actually the last person to concede defeat.
I hear that. It is that I like the way you did that because I do believe it is first loser. I do believe in that statement, but then obviously the way you flipped
technically, the team that gets relegated is the first loser.
If we're going for a league and we don't like, if we just strip it all back and yeah, everybody's not fighting for a league, but there's 20 teams. First,
that statement is actually like factually incorrect. It's like saying 2 + 2 = 17. It doesn't make sense.
No, I didn't finish. I do believe in the status of having the mentality that second place is first loser, but then I like the way you kind of put it in. I can't remember what you said, but I was gonna say I like the way you put it.
Last person to concede defeat.
Last person to concede defeat. Yeah, I think that's spot on. Where our issue is in that I look at this in that 2023, 24, 25, 3 very different seasons, very different contexts, many different pluses and negatives, many things that me and you speak about individually, we speak about collectively, and you do need to apply. And I'm just talking purely with Arsenal, context for Arsenal, how we get over the line. You do need to do a deep dive for the review. But then there's the bottom line, and that's second place, and then there is no silverware. I've got to ask this question. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, yeah. But if United or Spurs win a trophy, have they had a more successful season than us? I know you've been asked this a million times.
They've been more successful, but we've had the better season. Look, you can't sit here and tell me you've watched your team week in, week out get slapped every single week and tell me you've had a better season. You've been more successful. You won a trophy, but at the end of the day, this season will be remembered for the trophy and also the fact that you got battered every single week in the season, in the league.
And let's hope they get battered on Wednesday, man. I can't lie though. I have to. While we're on that topic, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who you're gonna go with. But would you rather Man United or Spurs win? And also on that, like, is it depressing as well? Because it just feels like everybody's getting to win something. Not everybody, literally, but you've seen
Okay,
Liverpool, seen
from a
Palace,
fan's
seen
perspective,
everyone do this thing.
from an Arsenal fan perspective, I'd rather Man United win. But from purely just football, like what the club, I think the club would rather Spurs win because Man United is more
What?
of a threat. I think from a club perspective, you'd rather want Spurs to win because Man United is more of a threat to win major honors in the foreseeable future because of the money that they can spend
Wait,
and
wait.
the amount
As
of
in
money they
Arsenal
make.
Football Club, those that work at Arsenal Football Club, that are employed by Arsenal Football Club, they'd rather Spurs win this.
Because they would probably view Manchester United as a bigger threat to
Nah,
rebuild.
gee, you're waffling. Nah,
I
gee,
think
nah.
I think Manchester United with the Champions League football is more of a danger to Arsenal than Spurs are.
They've been a problem. Man United, if they win the Europa League,
Now I personally think majority of people would say we hate Spurs, we want Spurs to not win. But reality is, who's more of a threat?
it's Man United. As I was saying, it's Man United. Obviously, I've seen them win a Europa League before. I've seen them win champs. And if we look at Man United post Sir Alex Ferguson, like just disregard that, they've still been winning trophies. We're all, from a banter point of view, we're used to Man United doing that whole rhetoric about, oh yeah, in our worst season we still get silverware. Financially, they're probably in a better place than Spurs if they get Champions League football. They're still a more attractive position, but they've never gone away. Like if you're Arsenal, you're always expecting Liverpool, Man United, this one,
Look at it
that
from
one
the
to be there.
perspective of our transfer window.
Yeah, but
We
there's
want to go
no
get
way. There's not
no
Egal.
no no.
There's
Hear me out. Hear
no
me out.
way
We want
Arsenal
Victor
wants Spurs
Gyökeres.
to win. Wait,
We
bro,
want
I
Victor
live in North
Gyökeres.
London. There's a
No
parade
no
in
no.
North
Hear me out
London
though.
potentially. You're
Hear me
lying
out
with that
though.
one.
Hear
Go
me
on.
out. We want Victor Gyökeres. We want Garcia, for example.
I hear all of that,
We
but
want all
nah, I
these
can't
guys,
agree
right?
with it.
Man United get Champions League football. They might have a chance to prize some of these guys away from us. Where Spurs, even if they get Champions League football, they're not really causing us no headaches. Besides the
I'm not
fact that
calling
they
neither
won a
team are
trophy.
causing us headaches at the moment. As you said, they're below us in the table. I do think United are going to get their ship together. I
But
never
yeah,
want that to be
so
the
it's
case
kind of
with
like a
Spurs.
devil advocate kind of situation. Do you
No.
would you rather the team that actually? It's almost like would you
I'll
rather?
stop you there. Regardless of the context, I don't want Spurs to win anything. I didn't want them to beat City. I don't want them to win the Europa League. If they win it, you know what? As much as we hate them, fair enough. This is sport. Do your thing. Nah. Like, and even if Spurs do win the Europa, even if Spurs win the Europa League, and we go with what you said about Arsenal would prefer it, how far does that go then? Like, what does that change for Spurs? They get Champions League football. We've gone with years without Champions League football, and obviously Champions League, the money it presents, the sporting project, it's like icing on top of the cake to potential players. But I've seen us and Manchester United sign players, and we weren't in Europe's top competition. So how far does that go, really and truly?
Maybe it's copium for me, but either way, I kind of find some logic on why it could be something that would hurt us or benefit us.
And if people internally at Arsenal, if anyone, I don't care if you're Andrea Berta, Josh Kroenke, Mikel Arteta, the players, the dinner lady, anybody that ever utters that they would rather Spurs, emotional or not, you need to leave. Your heart's not in the right place, man. Man United, it is what it is with United. I mean, we could banter Spurs and say, oh, it's their first
If it
trophy in
means you can't
17
get the
years. But
players you want,
pardon me?
if it means Spurs winning a trophy means Arsenal can get what they need in the transfer window and have less problems, maybe it makes sense.
No, there's always another way. There's always another way. And there's even a reality where, again, I don't know for finances, but on the Jokeres thing, which we're gonna get into, yeah, like there's a reality where Arsenal get the Champions League. God forbid, Man United lose the Europa League final, don't have Champions League, and could still probably prize Jokeres away from us. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying I think it's a pretty even game. I hope that we don't even have to talk about this post Wednesday. I hope that thing you win. Arsenal fans older than me would have actually probably seen Spurs win a European title. So it wouldn't affect me beyond the obvious. And as much as I hate them, you'd have to say, yeah, but nah, the parades are going to be on my doorstep. It's tired. I'm not on that, man. Let me ask you this, yeah. Out of these, man said 5, out of the 3 years, do you think we're better at anything in 2025 in comparison to 2023 or 24?
Mm,
Like purely
we
with what you see with your team on the pitch.
adjusting. I feel like we've had to adjust a lot more due to injury this season, so we're more malleable. Where I think 2023, you take one player out of the team, you see a big drop off. 2024, you I wouldn't say we didn't really need too many changes in the first team, but same thing happened in 2024 where you throw Zinchenko back in the team, immediately the team looks shit. And then what happened against Aston Villa happens, where this season we have a lot more malleability and a lot more ability to play different personnel and still see similar results, where I don't think we did that as much in 2023 and 2024. So
I
maybe
hear you
we're a
with
little
that.
bit more malleable is probably the word I'd use.
If I'm honest, I think the only thing I've learned this year, and this is what I said it on the stream when we last did, I think on your channel, in that when I look at Arteta, the people above him, the players, obviously the players are out there. If you lose, win or draw, we can talk about your performance. But the only thing I've learned is our response to adversity. I've seen players play with injuries, stand up to be carried. I think the players have been ran into the ground. I don't think the players were helped from those above, either in the summer or January. That's the only thing. And I asked you because obviously everybody's got different perspectives. Because for me, from a footballing point of view, obviously Lewis Skelly's come in and whatnot. I don't see anything. Like I actually feel we've regressed defensively in the minute things. Yeah, you could look at clean sheets, etc. But we're dropping more. We got more individual mistakes. We're dropping more points from winning positions. We're conceding a lot more from defensive, from set pieces. And then obviously you look at 2023. That was the year we were great in an attacking sense. You look at 2024. We was obviously probably a bit naive in 2023. Like you saw it yourself. There'll be games we'll batter a team in the first 45, the second half's knife edge. So the game management needed to improve. 2024, I think we took up we didn't look as good going forward, but there was more game management and street smartness. Now I'm naive, but I would have wanted 2023, 24, merge that together, bring the quality in. 2025 for me has been regression, bro. And I asked you this before. Like, let me ask you
I would
again.
say
Like,
I would say it's difficult to say it's fully regression. You could say
we
stagnation,
got the
maybe.
Champions League run. I'll say that,
Yeah, you could say stagnation because in where we in where we've gone weaker, we've also gotten better in one category.
which
In the
is
Champions League, of course. And in the defense, we've stayed the same. The midfield, I think we've stayed the same. It's really just the attack. The attack is the difference between us winning this league and drawing all those
is it
games.
really?
It is. Just look at all the performances and where we
So
drew
we
and
just slap
lost.
Jokeres, Nico Williams. Everything's good from an attacking
No, no,
sense.
no.
We're
Obviously,
lit.
you have to make sure they play well and gel together and get them going. But I do think it's so simple. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. It's literally just improve Arsenal's attack. We go on to win this league, bro. Or if Mo Salah would have got sick, and didn't have the season he had, we would have been much closer and would have been able to challenge for a little bit longer, even with the
No,
injuries.
but we knew about that because when we went out against Bayern Munich and at Champions League's been, we didn't win it. That's been the one thing, but we knew about that because when we went out the Champions League, all the noise, not necessarily out of the club, but from the more seasoned spoke people, they came out and said we need players with X factor. Liverpool have a bunch of good players. Obviously, Salah's been amazing, but that's exactly it. Like we need to be able to pick up points. I agree and disagree. I don't think it's just a case of we slap attackers in. I agree in a sense of I don't know. We probably find another way to F it up, but I don't think we have 13, 14 draws. It's probably slashed. We're probably running this title down to the wire. It's an interesting one, man. It's an interesting one. I would say in the Premier League, we've regressed. There's 100%. We've got, regardless of the injuries and whatnot, that's going back to my point of adversity and why my heart kind of bleeds for the players. But let's not get hung up on whether it's stagnation or regression. Either way, neither one of those words. If we was in a car and progress, obviously going forward, that's winning the Premier League, whatever we all want, right? Stagnation is obviously doing that. Regression is going backwards. Yeah, we all know that. I'm saying that for people in the chat. Whether you think it's regression like Egal, or sorry, stagnation like Egal, or regression like me, neither is a forward direction. In life, you have to move forward, no? So it's
Sure.
just not. It's been a season where I'm a big fan of the saying, you start as you mean to go on. Obviously, it's not just injuries, it's not just red cards, it's not just attackers. But I'm a big fan of you start as you mean to go on. And I think it goes back to the summer, but I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, man. It's upsetting, man. I
Sometimes
wanted
you
to get
take a
into
step
this as
back
well.
to
Go on,
take
go
a
on.
step forward. Sometimes you take a couple steps back to just take a couple steps forward afterwards.
Come on, man. We've been doing that clearly, man. I hear you. You're not wrong, but don't you feel all of them kind of shouts? It's done now with Arsenal. All of that courageous loser, mighty duck stuff. That is right. And we're talking about sport. And like I said, I don't disagree.
Hey,
But
big up Mr.
surely that
Bombay.
rhetoric's dead now, man.
Big up Mr. Bombay, Mighty Ducks. Honestly, I don't think we can ever, until we get over the line. We're gonna say what we have to say to make ourselves feel better to a
That's
certain
the
degree.
only thing. We have to get over the line. That's the only, like, as much as people boy us, yeah, Arsenal bottled it, another year, no trophy, da, 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 da. And cool, we'll hold that. But if you're bantering us, rightly so, because we'd be chatting a lot of shit if we won. But if you're bantering us about not winning silverware, clearly we must be a good football team, innit? Like, I'm not happy to be second, maybe what second for the third year in a row. But if you're bantering us about not getting over the line, etc., clearly, if we're in these shouts and getting to semi-finals, we've got to be good. For me, the bottom line is we have found an inability to get over the line. I'm not necessarily vexed about the champs. Of course, I'd love to win it. It's more the Premier League, because the Premier League is a longer sample size. So it's jarring, man. But it is what it is. Like,
Let's
it's
see.
all we
What
can
you
do is
gotta
go
say
again.
about this?
Say that again.
What do you gotta say about this tweet?
Oh yeah. I always watch your tweets and I'm like, yeah, this guy loves you love a back and forth with the social media fans, yeah. But I thought, let me, like, because I can see what you're saying and I don't necessarily disagree. But like, what was the point of these tweets, and like, what was the context behind it, and like, why did people get so mad?
Because they told me a couple weeks ago Arteta's dumb because he said that 89 points would not have won the league this year, and his point is accurate based on the fact that Liverpool have the same amount of defeats as this Arsenal that people are telling me has completely fallen off. Also, a couple weeks ago they told me Arteta's an idiot. Liverpool could finish on 91 points if we win all our games. And then it was like, oh well, we drew to Arsenal, but if we win all our games, we can finish on 89 points. It's the same amount of points as you did last year. And then they lose the game to Brighton, and it's now you can only finish on 86 points. So I just wanted to remind people that when the manager said what happened last season, if we were to have repeated it again, which we know we're capable of getting to that level, we would have won the league this year. And it's just unfortunate that Liverpool and other team and Liverpool was able to compete to this level, and we weren't, due to many other reasons. But hey, we don't make excuses. Fair play to them. Football's not fair sometimes, and they were able to do something this season that if we were to replicate what we did last year, we would have beat them. We had less goals conceded than them by 11. We had more goals than them, and we had, what do you call it, more points than them. So by that metric, we would have won the league last year if we just did what we did last season again.
Fair play. People, first things first, rants, one love for the raid. Big up all the rants raiders. Make sure you're subscribing, smashing the like button, head over to Egal's platform. I don't think you're wrong, because
Yeah, well,
obviously,
there's people calling me the final boss of mutants.
man, you listen, forget YouTube comments. You're deluded or you talk sense to someone. Like, this is it, innit? Like, in the same way, some people rate Ahmad
Yeah, let
Diallo
me
or
just
Saka
grab
and
water
don't rate
quick.
them. It is what it is. Forget the comments, man. Forget the
Let me just
comments,
grab
bro.
water quick. 1 second.
Go on. Grab water, man. Big up you lot in the chat, man. And for me personally, I'm gonna answer Gal this year. But again, for me, yeah, I don't disagree. If we had the points that we had last year, we would have won it this year. But how far does that go? We've seen, like, it doesn't mean anything. I've personally seen Liverpool be 90 points, 90 plus points, not win the league. My club does a lot of talking about fine margins and things like that. We need to get over the line. And I do think Arsenal fans, because there's many different subsections, they get in this, I call it favorable condition syndrome. It's like, oh, but if this never happened and that never happened and these points and that points, you're good. I remember he's ill and he's doing this for you lot as well, people. So big up Egal. But yeah, it's this points and that points. At the end of the day, the conditions are very different and we didn't get over the line. I want to ask you though, Egal, yeah, obviously in theory, it's right. I don't think Liverpool care. I don't think Arne Slot would care, because obviously they've won the title. It is what it is. Once again, we've seen Liverpool be 90 odd points and not win the title, right? But what does this mean, though? I'm not saying you, but I see a lot of fans on social media. It's not like it's an award, but it's almost like they're flexing it. Like, more so,
It's just
the first thing.
To me, it tells me if all circumstances were the same as last season, we were good enough to win the league this year, even without the signings.
Ain't
So
that the problem, though?
all the stuff that people say, oh, Arteta's a bottler, Arsenal shit, we can never get there.
We're not shit, but we did bottle it.
We're clearly
Declan Rice
capable
said
of
it weren't
getting.
good enough, Killy, man.
We're clearly capable of getting to 89 points last season. You know something? The 80 something, 84 points of last year might actually be enough to win the league this year if Liverpool drop points on the final day of the season.
I hear that, but it's a new season, my brother. And they did it. We have to control the controllables,
that's 2 years out of the last 3 years those points totals would have been enough to win the league this year. That just goes to tell me that if we were to have performed to the levels that we did the last 2 years, we would have won the league this year. What was the outlier this year? Major debilitating injuries and a whole lot of players going down similar times. So to me, it's just telling me we have the groundwork. The manager's not the problem. This season clearly it's been the players going down and other issues being the issue on why we've seen the major drop in form. And I do not think that we need to go and look at this season and say, oh my God, and jump to major conclusions off the back of it. Sometimes you just have things don't go your way and you just have to look at it and say to yourself, if all things were equal, we would have probably won it.
But that's the thing about fine margins and small margins. Like I don't think you're wrong, but you look at us in the Premier League or anyone in the Premier League. I'm pretty sure if you talk to any fan base of the 20 teams, yeah, there's obviously 9 times out of 10 you get what you deserve in it. Forget the league purely from how many draws, wins, and defeats. Right? We all know the lines get blurred. Sometimes you deserve to win, you lose. Sometimes you draw when you deserve to lose or win. Sometimes you win when you deserve to lose, and that's actually a case of everyone. That's what champions do. I look at games like Bournemouth where it's with Liverpool where it was on a knife edge, and there's obviously been games that we've clawed back. But then that's where it takes me back to what I said at the beginning, my guy, and that it's another year. And I'm not trying to be disingenuous, but yeah, we could do the points thing or whatnot. And again, there's contexts, there's reasons, there's diagnosis that needs to happen. But then we have to look at the bottom line in which we didn't get over the line. How do we get over the line? And then for you, how do we do that? Because surely everyone's got to take accountability. I've got the most sympathy for the players, and I stand on that. I think the players have been shortchanged, if I'm very honest with you. But at the end of the day, they're the ones out there, so they have to hold that. If we won, everyone would be gassing up Mikel Arteta. I actually rate you as a manager, so I have to hold you to certain standards. You've evidently played a part. I don't want to get at the physios, but we haven't been able to keep people fit. And again, the whole ethos, those that have any sort of say in our recruitment and stuff, the summer was not a summer we came out from and thought, oh, you know what, we was 2 points off City. And even if we get a microscope and look at that, the fact that we was 2 points off, we could even look at the draws and whatnot. And then January, which I don't look at Arteta for January, I don't look at the players. That told me everything about those above them, with the exception of Berta, who just rolled in. So it's just a mixed cocktail of stuff. And at the end of the day, winners win, unfortunately, and losers explain, man. I do want to ask you something as well, yeah, because I remember me and you having a bit of banter.
Liverpool were explaining last season why we acting like Arne Slot came in and did something ridiculous.
That's the point. That's the point. They've gone from explaining to winning. Pep Guardiola's gone from winning to explaining and talking about community shields.
Sometimes, bro, football's
we are doing a lot of explaining,
Sometimes
bro.
Sports is very simple. The team that's the healthiest, that catches fire, wins.
Okay, so last season then, if we're gonna, since I've not tried to speak about last season, but since we're doing that, the teams that's healthiest and whatnot, last season, where everyone was basically fit.
Last season from January onwards, Man City were healthy. They caught fire and they won.
But Arsenal, we were there. We were meant to say, people were saying we're falling away. We were there.
And we dropped the ball. Man City were better. Simple.
And the year before that, with one Saliba injury.
And the year before that, they were miles ahead of us. We were not on the same level as them.
But do you not get the point I'm making? It's like 3 different years now where these points are valid.
First year,
the underlying factor is we haven't won.
The first
you could argue with what you said. Liverpool learned their lessons then.
The first year Deluded, we played them over 2 legs. They beat us both times. They whooped our ass both times. Like it was not even a competition, right? Second year, we were more prepared for the big games. But you know what happened? We still got caught up in some of those games lower down the table, the Fulhams, the West Hams. Those were the games that caught us out. This season, again, those same games caught us out. But in actual reality, the issue between last season, the year before, and the first year, and the reason why the first year is so reminisced is because it was the first time teams had to play us where they had to respect us in years. They did not respect us before that. The way that they approached the games was a lot more open. And today, teams are a lot more defensive against us. We face more low blocks. We face more defensive.
We knew that last year, bro.
Going into games, even last year. So now, more of a sample size. This season,
you know what they say: if nothing changes, nothing changes.
This season, we just didn't have the same keys to unlock it.
We didn't have any keys. We didn't buy any keys in the summer. Like, what keys?
I agree.
We didn't put our best foot forward. Everybody has to be held accountable. There's no 100% blaming Arteta. There's no putting no blame on Arteta, all the recruitment, all the players. Everybody is in this. Everything that you're speaking about, we've known about them, you know.
I know, but
Again,
we're giving it's not about giving excuses, it's about
nobody
speaking
spoke
about the
about excuses.
perspective
This is a
of,
diagnosis. Like, remove emotion and actually just look at what's in front of us. We know
okay.
about injuries. We know about injuries at our football club. We know what one injury can do to us. We've seen it with Saliba. I mentioned last year on purpose because everybody was quite fit for the majority of it, right? But at the time, Tomiyasu was a key player. Timber was a new signing. Partey, we missed out on them. This year, shit luck. But that is my point. Going back into the summer, of course, injuries, things can happen. I've said this to you before. If we did everything we needed to do in the summer and we still had these injuries, then I would say, you know what, fair enough.
But
The club have
deluded,
put their
even
best
in the
foot forward.
positions where we're fully stacked up, who, if I told you Arsenal, who have some of the best depth in the defensive third, would find
And that's
themselves in
really been stress tested. This is kind of predictable. Look at the last 2 years or even three. The vast majority, like
is
the
it
majority of
predictable?
the
Did
majority
you
of the top six, yeah, the majority of those players, they play for club and country, right? They've probably played in the World Cup, they've played in the Euros, they play in a bunch of pointless friendlies. They were coming into this season in the red zone. Like, you look at the amount of hamstring injuries. My point I was making was we've got enough lived experiences. We've seen Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United have had mad injuries. We've seen what Rodri's done, where Rodri missing for City. We've had enough learned physical experiences, and also they say a wise person learns from someone else's mistakes, right? So we've had enough. We know we need depth. We know we need quality. I know that you mentioned if everybody's fit, but if me and you went through that whole squad, who really and truly doesn't really get injured? There's a lot of quote unquote, and I don't want to be disrespectful, injury prone players. That's my point. Whether it's the staff, whether it's the squad depth, the added quality, changing and evolving tactically, which we going back and we both agree there's nothing significantly kind of better. We've shot ourselves in the foot. That is my point. My point is of saying this is not to talk about how crap Arsenal are and this and that. We just need to remove emotion. Whether you're happy, whether you're sad about Arsenal, at the end of the day, these are the things that stopped us. We've dropped a hell of amount of points from winning positions. We've dropped a hell of amount of points through our inability to score goals. Yeah, our defenders have made mistakes, but at the same time, it's probably been our defensive unit who has stood up to be counted. And when you look at what Martinelli, Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Magalhaes, there's defo someone else, Declan Rice, I think at a time. These are predictable hamstring injuries. They're in the red zone.
We're asking two different questions.
We're not asking two different questions. You're not listening to what I'm actually asking. You get emotional.
I'm not even trying to get emotional. I'm quite calm right now.
My guy, man.
I'm quite calm right now. I'm just saying, I'm speaking from the perspective of if we did what we did over the last 2 seasons, not what we faced this season. I'm talking from the perspective of if we did the bare minimum, what we did the last 2 seasons, we win this league title this year. Is that not a true statement based on the points tallies that we had over the last 2 seasons?
But Egal, you're not listening, because before we started talking about this, I said in general, in isolation, them very points that you're making on screen are valid. But then when we remove on the conversation, how far does that go? We can't do this favorable positions kind of stuff and create fantasies in our life. Unfortunately, people are going to get injured. You're going to lose when you deserve to win. You're going to draw when you deserve to do a bit more, and so on and so forth. Players are going to lose form. We knew this. We went into the season knowing the squad's tiny, knowing we're relying on Bukayo Saka. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to Marino, who's now went up front, Trossard, who, does his thing, Martinelli. Anyone apart from Saka, they go through patches of scoring. We have this joke on my platform in the last 3 years in that we know we're going to probably score 100 odd goals in all comps. We know we're going to score goals. But apart from Saka, who the hell is going to score goals? And if we want to be a team that is a good team and move over to being a great team, getting over the line, going beyond semi-finals and actually claiming the Premier League title, these are questions that now need to be answered. And this takes me back to what I said in that we went into this season knowing these things. These things have merely just been put under an even bigger microscope, which the general thing for me is, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of regret in that dressing room or the club. You get where I'm going? That's all I'm saying.
And we know this, but I'm just a little confused because we're talking about 2 different things. I feel like, am I not listening? I'm literally just listening to everything you said.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree.
After you said I'm not listening, I literally listened to everything you said, and I've come to the conclusion that I feel like we're talking about 2 completely different topics.
Well, no, it's all interlinked, but you know what? Fair play, man. Smash the like button and subscribe. Let's go on.
Because you're talking about what's gone wrong. And I'm talking about.
I beg you, just watch this back. Just watch it back in slow mo and listen to exactly what I said and the path of the combo. You'll reach any conclusion. I promise you that you're trying to find. Like, cool. If you think we're talking about two different things, all right, cool. I'm not gonna go around in circles. My decision making is definitely better than Martinelli's, man. So progressing. I wanted to ask you about this as well. In fact, you may, but in that, I forgot to ask you something. Yeah, me and you, we had
Your
a little bit
decision
of a
making is
back.
better than Martinelli's.
It is way better than Martinelli's. Clearly, way better than Martinelli's. But I wanted to ask you, yeah, 'cause I remember me and you having a little banter back and forth on one of our platforms, and you was like how Arsenal was set up to dominate, and I said we could be set up to win some trophies. I don't know for the word dominate because in my mind that is what I've seen United do in the early 2000s, what I've seen City probably do recently. Do you still maintain that domination word? Not again. So we're clear on this conversation.
I
Dominate,
think
not win
everyone can
trophies
see.
and whatnot, but dominate.
I think everyone can see Arsenal are two serious attacking signings away from being one of the scariest teams in the league.
Nah, that's not what I asked. Dominate.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we can dominate. I think we're catching a situation where Liverpool are going to have to retool eventually with Mo Salah and Van Dijk, and we're already seeing Man City trying to retool as Pep is going to potentially being exiting the club, and Arsenal currently with the age of our squad and the profile of some of the players we have and potentially some of the players we will be able to buy this summer, we are going to be able to go and strengthen to a level where we can potentially dominate in the foreseeable future. I could see Arteta going on a run where he goes and picks up a couple Premier League titles in the next couple years back to back. Like that's how good we are. We are capable. We should have won. We should be three. We should be at least two-time league title champions right now, Premier League champions right now. We were in a top four of Champions League with Mika Moreno up top, bro. I believe if we go and get a Rodrigo and what do you call it, uh, Gyökeres, that those two signings could elevate Arsenal's attack to not only win the league but to dominate this league.
Do you think a
And
team
then
can,
on top of
apart
that,
from City, do you really think a team could
we need to
dominate though?
improve our transition game. Go get a midfielder like Eze or a Xavi Simons, and boom, we're set for the next 3-4 years easily.
So what does domination look like to you then? Because you kind of touched on it, but I just want to know
Back-to-back
specifically.
league titles, winning a Champions League in that time, and seeing yourself go through a successful period similar to what Arsene
I
Wenger
hope
went
you're
through.
right, man. I hope you're right. I want to dominate like everyone, but for me to see
Because
Arsenal
there's a lot of
dominate,
things we haven't
that would be
done.
something we haven't done before. So it'd be
Yeah,
nice.
there's a lot of things we haven't done. We need to do. So winning back-to-back league titles would be one way. Going on to win the Champions League would be another way. Seeing your team have sustained success over a 5-year period. These are things that I'm saying when dominate. When I say a decade, obviously I'm being flippant. But when I say realistically, this team is set up to still be successful for the next 5 years minimum.
Is it really?
It
5 years.
is. It is. We have a shell of a solid defense. We have a decent goalkeeper that we could, even if we wanted to, we could upgrade on with Garcia. We have midfielders like Declan Rice who could be here for the next couple of years. Mendy's coming through the door. We're going to be signing a striker in Victor Gyökeres potentially, if not Sesko, whoever it is. I back them to be at least a 15 to 20 plus goal scorer a season. And you know, Arsenal have not had too many 19 plus goal scorers since Aubameyang.
God
So
forbid.
I think this team, and you know something, Brentford did something we've never been able to do in the Premier League era. Do you believe that? Brentford have two 19 plus goal scorers in the Premier League.
How many times this
Never
season
had
have you
that.
seen us win 2 games in a row, man? But yeah, I'm diversing. So let me be devil's advocate on that, yeah, because I see what you're getting at on one hand, yeah. But then when I look at it, again, you said however many years, right? Mikel Arteta, I don't know for internal pressure at the football club, but I think everyone understands if you don't get any sort of silverware, people are going to be onto you. He's just signed a 3-year deal. So he's got 3 years. At this moment in time, Magalhaes, who's 27, Bukayo Saka and William Saliba, I expect all of them to sign new deals, but there's speculation over their futures until 2027. Then you look at the Martinellis, the Trossards, and the Odegaards. Then we've got some good players. Are we really? And I don't think you're wrong with the strikers and what you said about Zubimendi, but they ain't walked through the door. Are we really, if all of these things are talking points, are we really as set up as quote unquote suggested?
Deluded. I believe we are tactically set up perfectly. I think the issue is the personnel has
You don't
always
think
been.
Arteta has to evolve
I don't think Arteta. I think Arteta has shown evolution. It's just
this year?
he stays within the system, but he shows evolution in how he utilizes players differently throughout the seasons. So, for example, the way he used Xhaka is different to the way that he used Rice. The way that he used Partey when he had Xhaka there, and the way that he used Partey now that he has Rice there is different. The way that he used Odegaard his first season, allowing to be a second striker and score, to then later on in that first season to be, what do you call it, more of a deeper playmaker, and now being a deeper playmaker again. He utilizes players differently, and he adapts to games depending on being against City, having to go defensive, being against Liverpool without some of your best defenders, having to
Do you think he's
find
evolved
ways
this
to
year?
counter. We do have different ways of
Do
playing.
you think he's evolved this year?
Obviously, he's been struggling this season, as the whole team has struggled. I've
Yeah,
not
no, you're
seen.
right on that, because I only asked
But
you
one
that
thing I have
because,
seen.
brother, like, bro, we still go long with Trossard through the 9. He still does it, and I'm not criticizing or praising. I'm calling it as I see it. We still live by the sword, die by the sword. We don't change things enough. You still, again, it's probably going back to the recruitment, but we lost to PSG. You watch how we played in the first leg versus the second leg, or even the first 20 minutes. Any coincidence, Partey's back, Rice is back in his role. So we still have that thing of not really mixing and blending. We're still kind of playing the same way. So do you really think he's evolved enough? Because personally, I think this year, whether he's a success at Arsenal or whatever he does in his life as a manager, I feel every manager, there's a year in your career where you learn a lot about yourself. And I think this is Mikel Arteta's year, whether it's evolving your tactics, trusting certain players, actually having more conviction in your ideas. And I extend that to the whole club. But yeah, do you really think he's evolved this year?
Let me ask you,
Realistically.
does this answer your question? I think this is Arteta's best job as a manager this season. With the amount of adversity he had to deal with. I know that's going to piss off a lot of people.
Oh, come on, man. This is a
No.
madness.
I am not even
Egal,
trolling. I am dead serious. You look at any of my tweets, I've said
Let me hear you say that again, because I might have heard the wrong thing. Please.
Bro, go on my Twitter, check highlighted tweets. We've spoken about this before. I said this, with the amount of adversity we've had this season, with Saka being injured, with Odegaard being injured, with Gabriel being injured, with all these players being in and out of the squad, this has been his biggest challenge throughout his entire career at Arsenal. And this season, for him to go to highlights, you should see it. Highlights, just type in highlights. It should be the second tweet. There you go, the second tweet right there. I don't think enough credit is given to Mikel Arteta for having Arsenal still competitive with the amount of adversity he had to face this season. Hence why.
But what credit?
Because look at it, where we were at the
time.
These
questions. What? No. What credit?
Like, where we were at the time, we had worse injuries.
You're known as being one of the best managers in the world and the league, and you rightly showed it in some aspects with the top 6 and how you've rebuilt the club. And I do agree with what Mikel Arteta says. Other teams might have crumbled, but how far does that go? If we've been, as much as people banter us, if we've been the second best in the league in whatever years, we should be able to do what other people do. We should be able to maintain our position at the very minimum. So what credit, bro?
But how far can you go without your talisman? How far can you go with a midfielder as your striker?
Which is why I go back to when you said we was mixing and blending kind of stuff. That again, people above him.
Everything goes in different conversations. When we're talking about the club, we can talk about
not
transfer.
really. It's all intercepting.
No, but I feel
and it's only when it all became an L that you saw things. And I'm not even saying this is the right things, but you saw Tini used a bit more. You saw Zinchenko playing in midfield. You saw little other bits and pieces in which you go back to, what was it? Probably around the time, it must have been January, Norwich away, that kind of period when we was kind of forced to. But my thing to you is not questioning whether he's done that or not. No, my question is not to you whether he's, mixed and blended or whatever you said, yeah? My question is, what credit does he deserve? I'm just genuinely asking that. Credit. Keyword credit. Like, what credit? Because you're a good manager, Arteta. You should be doing this, not credit, though, bro. Like, does he need a pat on the back?
Break it down into 2 pieces. First, what you just said, I agree with. He should have done more with his.
I got to ask you these questions, my boy.
When he should have done more with his squad management. I agree with you there. He did not do a good enough job using his squad earlier in the season.
One love for the super chat, Ricky, but go on.
We did not have as much injuries later on. I fully agree with you there. But in the same breath, there was moments where the team was so wearing thin that he had to start using other players, and he did do that. And I do think there's a level of credit that needs to be given to him based on the fact that you look over at Manchester City, who won the league 4 years in a row, who people said going into the season
they fell off.
have the best squad in the league, and they crumbled to the point where they're losing and they only won one game out of 14. They were basically out of the Champions League almost until the final day, and they just got into the final hat. Where Arsenal, as much as whatever you want to say about the cup runs and everything else, we were in a situation where we were in a semi-final of the Champions League, semi-final of the League Cup,
Big up Arteta on the Champions League, man. I'll say that much.
third in the group in the league phase of the Champions League, where we only lost to PSG and Inter throughout the whole tournament, and also in the league up until Bukayo Saka got injured in January, we were still touching distance of the league title. As much as anyone wants to say Liverpool were 9 points this, 7 points that, we've seen
We've been on top of the table longer than us this season, you know.
We've seen 9-point leads dwindle away like this. So I don't want to hear about this lead and that lead. The reality situation is, up until Bukayo Saka got injured, I could say the title race was still on. The moment he got injured, that's where people could say, you know what? That's where things went down the drain.
But I disagree slightly, but that's where, because you mentioned the Saka thing, that's where I made the point about the club, because it's one thing to look at Arteta and praise him or critique him, the same with the players, but then you look at the club, you can see your talisman's gone. Them times there, a lot of people are injured. Again, whether you tried or didn't get players in, those above Mikel Arteta, you told me everything I needed to know. Because if, like, they were with Gal's thinking and 9 points could be clawed, and we're not out of anything at this moment in time, they did not draft in help. This is where my faith is kind of in Berta, but at the same time, Arteta can't do it alone, Berta can't do it alone, players can't do it alone. This is where the club, for me, there's been a lot of lip service in the last 18 months in particular, and it now needs to correlate. Like, it needs to correlate. But again, bro, what credit though? I don't think you're wrong in the things you're saying, but what credit? Like, credit.
When did I tweet that? What date is that?
February.
At that point, we were still competitive in all competitions.
Oh, so he doesn't deserve credit anymore in that case.
What?
So are you saying because it was in February, like, you've kind of changed? It's not a credit thing, it's more fair play, gaffer.
No, fair play. But at that point, at this point, I would say it's not give him credit. I would say it's more, he's had his most challenging season.
100%. You only learn when you're challenged. Big up Rants.
He's had his most challenging season, and at worst, he replicated the same league finish as the year prior and had a better Champions League campaign. So as much as we want to criticize the league, the reality is there has been some level of progression in the Champions League, but in the league,
there's been progression in the last 2 years. But the league is a true barometer of your talent. Like, I think people have to part things over. The overlying factor is Arsenal never got over the line.
I don't want to hear nobody tell me they're better than me, except for Liverpool. If the league is the only barometer of who you really are, I don't want to hear anybody talk about who's better.
Obviously, we're in 4 competitions. Yeah, we've got to 2 semi-finals. We didn't get over the line. Again, my key word of this is getting over the line. Okay. Champions League, near enough faultless. It ended in heartbreak. Big up the gaffer. If I isolate Mikel Arteta, for someone that's been managing for 2 years in the Champions League, great account of yourself. It adds to the frustration. Obviously, nobody expected us to do what happened against Real Madrid. All the other titles became obsolete. That was the only kind of saving grace for the season, and the adversity and all of that. But and again, they deserve it. People say, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong, yeah, in a sense of we might be even better suited to the bigger games and the European games, and we do F up in the kind of smaller games and whatnot. He's good for them tactical battles. Champions League, fair play. League Cup, don't want to waffle about it. End of the day, using 2-legged semi-finals, bottled both of them. FA Cup should have won, shagged it. It is what it is. But the league is a true barometer of how good your team is, purely because it's 38 games, bro. It is 38 games. It's 2 games a week, 3 games in 10 days. The other things get slumped in. You see how many times do you see in the Premier League? We saw it under Unai Emery. That was one of my. I'm sure I started making YouTube. No, Wenger was here when Emery came into this club. That was when I first started to get quote unquote hate, because you remember his unbeaten run. Sometimes you can go on crazy runs. It gets hidden beneath the cracks, and people don't see what's in front of them. Sometimes you can go on winning runs where you don't deserve it, and you can go on losing runs when you deserve a bit better. We've done that when Arteta was first trying to change us. But then, once again, at some point throughout the 38 games, you're gonna win when you deserve to, lose when you need to, etc., etc. That's our issues, bro. That is our issue. That's why, bro, it's 38 games, bro. It is 38 games. 38 games. And that goes for the squad, not just the starting 11. Sometimes Arteta's tactics might, and any manager, sometimes the manager's tactics might save the team. Sometimes the manager's tactics have been shit out the window. The players just bailed them out, which is why I said, and for me, the things that we keep speaking about, these are all things that were prevalent last season. That's where my frustration comes in, because again, for the club, it's more of a hope than at that case. It's either hope, naivety, complacency, or all of it. Because you can't have come into the season with getting Neto and Sterling and not doing what you needed to do, assuming players that are in bad form are going to get back on it. Saka's never going to get injured and he's going to keep playing amazing. We're never going to get any injuries. I think that's naive, bro. I really do. I think this is the season where obviously no Arsenal fans happy to just be second and whatnot, but we've kind of been in a kind of trance kind of thing. This is a year where I feel you can look at it negatively or positively, but then I think you need to look at it for what it is. And it's a mixed bag. There's plenty of positives
I
at
don't
this
think anyone
club.
can look at this season as a positive and just majority of it's going to say disappointment. It is a disappointment. But I think coming out of it, I think I've gained more trust in the manager than distrust in the manager, as some people have.
I think, if anything, I've big up
That run with Mikel Moreno up top against Real Madrid over 2 legs showed me more to that this manager needs more time than
big up the manager. You showed competency. You saw Mikel Merino had ability to play up front and play that false 9 stuff and drop into midfield. That's great. When I removed the romance, and obviously what we found out against Real Madrid, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to beat Real Madrid like that. You're not going to have those romantic moments. You could argue it's naivety and incompetence, which is why I said I big up the players. Mikel Merino's had a tough time. You're playing up front against Real Madrid in a position that is not yours. Big up the manager because he's shown he can do those things, but it's incompetence. He's not a number 9. It's another year of a centre mid playing up there, and it goes back to what I said about again. I feel sorry for the players.
Is it incompetence or a masterclass from Arteta?
You're not listening. It's incompetence by a football club to have a centre mid playing up front in the semi-finals. This is my whole point about the summer.
Okay, when we talk about the football club, they ran him. They let the whole team out to dry in January. We know that.
Players, yeah.
And in the summer, I don't think Edu is fit for purpose.
Clearly gone. Fuck him. Berta time.
Bro, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, but I heard some rumor that Edu
Talk your truth, man.
I heard a rumor Edu was not a mutual resignation. I heard behind the scenes he was actually like they found something and he had to go.
I don't know about that, but I just think, but at the end of the day, Bert is better than Edu. Edu, for me, he clearly had his own kind of things that he wanted to do at Arsenal in terms of, I actually think he didn't get the career push that he wanted. Cut from the team, cool, do your thing at Nottingham Forest. And that's where I said you can't just blame one person. In relation to the Merino thing, yeah, them 2 games, it is a masterclass. But 9 times out of 10, you get romantic moments. We've seen many a romantic moment. We didn't win the league, but we saw a depleted side do their thing against Madrid. God forbid, Spurs, who don't know what trophies are, could go and win something next in 24 hours. We've seen Crystal Palace win their first ever trophy. Newcastle in 70 odd years win their first thing. There is romanticism in football. There is romantic moments. But then those things are too far in between. If we played Madrid 10 times or 9 times out of 10, you're not going to beat them with Merino up front. And that's not a disrespect to Arteta seeing his qualities there, or actually Mikel Merino, because as I said, big up the players. If we remove the romance or the anger that some might have that was even a thing, it's not. It's incompetence, bro. If we play Real Madrid in the semi-finals, I'm pretty sure. Again, I'm sure you want a striker. Like we need to stop romanticizing things that don't need to be romanticized and not look at it with anger or positivity. Just look at what it is. That's a central midfielder. Fair enough, he's doing his thing up front. Make no mistake. But it's again like Kai Havertz. We found an internal solution or a stopgap or a bandage because we didn't do what we needed to do in the summer, which is why I'm vexed with the whole club. Going,
Deluded,
there's a lot of consistency in what I'm telling you.
Even with all that being said, I still believe if these guys just even had a little bit of a better performance versus PSG in that first leg, we could have probably gone through.
We probably could have. The juices ran out, man. Like all the juice was there against Madrid.
And that's where
it's been running to the ground.
And that's where the board need to look at themselves and say to themselves, they had the ambition to try to do something in the January when they got Jorginho,
and they didn't do it.
The January in 2022, 2023 off the back.
Fair play.
They tried to do something then. Last season and this season, what did they really do? Keep
That's
me
why they
honest.
have to hold it. And for me, everybody's on borrowed time. Everybody.
And
I'm pretty
Arteta,
sure.
and
Every
Arteta,
every fucking person at this football club that's not the players is on borrowed time. I don't know about no one else, yeah, but I'm pretty sure I rate Arteta a lot more than anybody on YouTube, any Arsenal fan. I rate him a lot. I don't rate you more than my football club. I think you're gonna go and achieve stuff. I don't know about anyone else, but I don't think you can big up someone and then hold him to mediocre expectations. At the end of the day, yeah, as much as I think I'm not getting at you by the way, as much as the board, this, that, the third, if Arteta truly believed that that was the case, bro, you wouldn't have signed a new deal. You would have left. Same with Berta. As
I
much
think
as I
there's two
rate Berta
timelines.
in, huh?
I think there's two timelines. Arteta's timeline is one more season for me. I think
Everybody's on borrowed time, bro.
I think
Everyone's holding
Saliba,
licks, bro.
I think Saliba, the club is on a timeline for
We're
Saliba.
doing two projects. There's Project Arteta and Project Arsenal. The shit needs to interlap because like, I have, as I said, yeah, before you
The
cut me,
project
I have no
Arteta
doubt
is
Arteta is going to
Arsenal.
achieve things in his career. But I only give a fuck if it's at Arsenal. I don't care if you win Champions League and you're the best manager in the world if it's not at my club. And the same goes for everyone else. Get over the line. Because
But yo,
again,
Deluded,
mm,
I hear you, and they are connected though, unfortunately.
they are
Project
connected, which is why I'm making this point. Like, I don't feel when we win, we can gas up the manager and it's all adversity and this, that, and the other. And when we lose, I don't think he can just be blamed for everything. And I don't think you can't absolve him of anything. Everyone's in this together. We talk about winning through harmony and all these things. Like, it's not Arteta and Arsenal, the two are the same. And again, this is where I'm looking at this summer because it's almost like we're trying to ask Arteta to be Arsene Wenger. You've had to do too much at this football club. Bring in Berta, so you're the David Dean to the Mikel Arteta if that's what you're going to do. You need to, everything in the summer needs to make sense. All the excuses need to fuck off. Take the good and make it great. Go from being a good team to getting over the line. Because we collectively, Arteta with his tactics, the players, the board, we have this ability of being our best friends and shooting ourselves in the foot, man, genuinely. And anything me or you have to say, Egal, yeah, do you not think these players are gonna and the manager are gonna feel worse? It's you lot had to give out the guard of honor. Yeah, me and you can get bantered, but you lot had to do the guard of honor. You lot had to do the speeches last season, and actually was so close to the Premier League that the trophy was probably at the Emirates as well as somewhere else. Like it's you lot who saw how, yeah, wow, we were just the target was just Champions League. We're here. Saliba got injured, we crumbled, Rob Holding winking and that. It's these lot, you know. The past brings regrets, the future brings uncertainty. There's no fucking time like the present. And it's you lot who are gonna live to regret that. It's them that's breathing it every day as much as us with fans. It's them lot that are together more times than they're with their families. It's them. And this is where I'm getting at the ownership, not even necessarily the ownership. Anyone who makes decisions, and I'll tell you, you have a hand in that, bro. We can't act like you don't. Needs to pattern up, bro. We need to. We need to stop this. Like people need to stop this slating off Arteta, and it's all him. People need to stop this falling in love with Arteta and just fucking love the club. Talk about what's good, talk about what's bad, and let's keep it moving, Egal. It's
You know
jarring,
something?
man.
When you say that right there, people associate me with Arteta more than the club now. And it's not that I love Arteta more or anything like that. I
Nah, the
just
guys,
believe
bro, you're an Arsenal fan, bro. I never said that.
I believe in Arsenal, and I believe Arsenal, even without Arteta, will still be
I met a
successful.
girl outside the Emirates. You can't say you're not Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I think
And you was there Sunday.
we met in like 2017.
Years ago, my friend.
Yeah,
Years ago.
Palace. Alexis Sanchez just left. But yeah, what do you call it?
No,
Before we go any further, everyone keeps saying Egal. I think Arteta, regardless what happens this season, is going to be here next season. Obviously, everyone knows that. Next season is, I think, make or break for the manager. But this summer is make or break for this project. The reality situation
project's
is
done, man.
we're on borrowed time with a lot of players, and if Arsenal Football Club does not get their act together, it's going to be the same situation with in the past. And hey, Josh Kroenke, he says
Yeah, man.
that,
I know you got to go at free. I wanted to race through a couple things, man. I like the way this live stream's gone, but yeah, man. I wanted to ask you stuff. People, because we're pressed for time. If you can't see on screen and you don't know what Kroenke said, please go on Arsenal.com. But I'm sure a gal's read it. Do you believe it though?
bro, he has to deliver. They've said this before. They haven't
Exactly.
delivered. Hopefully they do. But I believe we're going to go and spend money on a striker. I believe we're going to go and spend money on another attacker. But you know something? I think as Arsenal fans, whatever we get, We could get Victor Gyökeres, we could get
Yeah, people
Nico
are not going to be happy,
Williams,
man.
Zubamendi. We can get all three of those guys, and people will still complain that we didn't sign a 10.
As I said, yeah, everything for me, everything's got to make sense. Like everything's got to make sense. You know, in previous years, remember when we signed Partey and Hossam Alwa? I wonder where he's playing. You know, what one was an 8, one was a 6. Fans know we needed both of them, right? But depending on what fan, nothing wrong. I more want an 8. I more want a 6. That shit cannot, pardon my language, cannot happen. You need a striker. You need a left winger. You need a central midfielder. You need the depth. You need to sort out the contracts. You've given yourself a lot to do. And even going back to what Egal said, yeah, about, you know, in an ideal world, we would have won the Premier League a couple of times. You know, even if, yeah, in this, I know people say 5 years, but if we look at 2022, 23 to now, in that 3 years, that golden 3 years where we've really got into these conversations, I would be saying, maybe not as strongly, but saying the same things going into this summer because of, even if we won all of that, this is a big season for us. Players' contracts are running down throughout the 3 years. You know, regulars have become squad players. It now needs to kick on. I said it last summer, and I'm just going to say it again. Like, we either go up several gears or we go down several gears. So I'm with you in that. Kroenke, I hear it. It just seems like lip service at this moment in time. Prove us wrong, man. Prove us wrong. We've gone over that already. I don't want to keep going on about that. Mikel Arteta, indirect. Do you think as well, yeah, indirectly, Mikel Arteta? Because I feel normally he plays the game a bit. In January, he was very specific. And I think recently he keeps saying like stuff like, oh, yeah, you know what? The board need to do this. The board need to do that. Like, do you think he's indirectly sticking it on the board?
I think he's been doing that since the summer, January, when he said, I need a striker.
Fair play. And he needs to keep doing it. And even that, don't get it twisted, Mikel Arteta. You're not a damsel in distress because as much as I do feel you've been harshly done by that, end of the day, you took the job, you signed a new deal. So you believe within these contexts and everything that you can still make it happen. And if I remove that, obviously everybody's got vested interest. Mikel Arteta is managing a fantastic club in his time here. You know why you want to be here as well. So there's not really any excuses. If I've got excuses, it might be for Berta because you've just walked in. What do you think about Timber, man? Bad news. Set for surgery.
Unfortunate, but you know something? Fair play to him. Ben White's been injured. Tomiyasu's been injured. He's done a fantastic job playing 30 games, grinding it out for us in the league and in the Champions League, and arguably one of the best right backs in the league this season. So fair play to him, and hopefully he gets better, get ready for next season. And I just hope that he doesn't get injured again next season, because this is a man who,
God forbid,
who missed out on the Euros. Due to injury. Hopefully he doesn't miss out on next season for us.
In the World Cup, yeah. I mean, Egal, you said everything that I would have said with Timber. I feel sorry for him. He continues my agenda about, I feel sorry for the players, bro, because you lot have been playing where you've been injured, you've been carrying injuries, you forced yourself back. I feel sorry for the players. I really do feel sorry for you lot, man. Do you really think we're going to get the Garcia lad?
Nah, bro. He's going to Man City or Barcelona. If they need a new goalkeeper, why come to Arsenal challenge for against Raya when you can guarantee yourself a starting spot in Spain for the champions, or go to Man City and replace Ederson? I don't think he's coming to Arsenal anymore.
I like him, man, but it is what it is. What do you make of Thomas Partey? It seems like I think Berta's had a big say in Trossard potentially, quote unquote, sign new deal. I know it's in the balance. Partey and actually going from Sesko, a more development kind of guy, to Gyökeres. I only say that because it feels like with now mode. But what do you feel about Partey signing an extension?
I feel like some of the external stuff is making Arsenal as a football club question if they should give him a new deal or how much to give him. But if he's consistent in his stance that he wants to stay and he's willing to do it for less, why wouldn't we do it if it's a reasonable offer? If he's willing to take a pay cut, take it.
Would you take a pay cut if you was him?
Bro, you gotta factor in, you got your family, you're living in London. No matter what, you're gonna have to uproot your life.
Depends how much of a wage cut it is, really.
He rejected Saudi Arabia, and he potentially might reject. He's potentially rejecting going back to Atletico. So, fair play to him. Your whole family and your whole life is here. I get it.
He's saying for Trossard, man. Another one. 1 minute he's gonna stay, then he's not. What are you saying for Trossard?
Sign him up to a new deal. He doesn't need his pace. He's one of those guys who's shifty. He doesn't necessarily need his pace to depend on how well he plays. KVR, keep him.
Big up
Keep
Kivio.
your
Now I'm trying to find the thing. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, obviously we're linked with Gyökeres, we're linked with Sesko. Um, is it fair to say you want Gyökeres for 1 and 2? Yeah, obviously paper talks do nonsense, but I just want you to humor me. Yeah, this says Mikel Arteta is in disagreement with Arsenal director Andrea Berta over which striker to sign. Arteta would prefer Benjamin Sesko, but Berta is pushing for Gyökeres. Now, if we take that for gospel and Mikel Arteta prefers Benjamin Sesko and Berta prefers Gyökeres, why do you think that's the case?
I think Arteta needs to sit back and do his job and sometimes let other people take the reins on certain things. And too many yes men in the room is not a good thing. And I'm happy
Exactly.
he doesn't have another yes man in the room who's just going to say, let's get Sesko because you want Sesko. No, I think Gyökeres is a better player. I think Gyökeres is a better goal scorer. I think Gyökeres has proven it over the last 2 seasons that he's clinical and he's a much better finisher than Sesko, and he's ready now. We're really going ready now versus ceiling. And if Arteta wants to go for ceiling, this is why we spend so much money on potential. We don't need more potential. Like Sesko might be the better player in a couple years' time, but if Gyökeres wins us 2, 3 league titles right now, I'd
No
rather
one
have
don't care.
that. Go get me that player. And I think Andre Berta's right. And Arteta, he needs to take a back seat. He can't do everything at the club. He
He needs
needs
to
to
save him. He needs to be saved from his madness again. And like Wenger was a genius, but sometimes the genius stuff goes a bit mad. David Dean would always pull him back in. Now, obviously, it's not the same, but David Dean leaving, Wenger being left to his own devices, negative, bare positives, but negatively, that's the madness. I think for Arteta now, big up Marino, because you know yourself, I like him. I'm not against Kai Havertz. Less of them kind of signings now. Everything needs to make sense. So yeah,
even the
that's what you said.
goalkeeper. Do we need to spend 25, 30 million on a
Probably,
goalkeeper?
probably not. If I'm honest, but I must admit, I've been converted to the Garcia thing, man. That's just forget that. That's in relation to Man United set to rival us for Gyökeres. We know that already. It would be nice to have that starting 11. I actually just want to ask you a couple more things. Now, apparently, Barcelona's Laporte said that more or less Nico Williams was a target last season. He's not really a target now. Does that make you feel a bit more confident that my man's heading to London?
Rafinha's not going nowhere. So if Nico Williams comes in, it is what it is. But I am more interested in getting Xavi Simons or Eze because
I'm
I
happy you
want
said that, man.
because I want that midfielder who has that versatility that can come in and give us that option as a transitional attacking midfielder because we're too slow in games where we need to be faster. It would be great to have somebody else outside of Odegaard who can come in and be like,
Where
let's
would
go
Eze
quick,
play for you, though?
quick. What? He
Where
plays in
would
the
Eze
10,
play for
bro.
you?
He plays in the 10 for me. He won't play in the left. And you know what? Even if we needed somebody on the left, he can play on the left. Even if we need someone on the right, he can play on the right. The versatility is just amazing.
Some would say the 8 as well.
Hey, if you want to play him in the 8 too, why not? In games where we're going up against teams that want to play with 7 at the back.
You taking Christopher Nkunku?
Hell no. Chelsea
Uh,
can keep him.
are you jealous that Cunha's going United?
I'm not jealous of anything United do.
Should we be getting into Verts business? Because
No,
everyone seems to be throwing a hat in it.
this transfer is gonna cost equivalent of 4 players for certain teams.
I mean, you spoke about Xavi Simons, so that's your thing. Oh yeah, apparently, I'm sure you've seen the
Never
Athletic.
gonna
Yeah, last,
happen.
huh?
Never gonna happen. Newcastle don't need to sell any of their players. And
Oh,
Anthony Gordon,
if he did have 80 million, would you do it?
hell no. Take that money and invest it into somebody else. Nico Williams a better player. What do you call it? Go get me Xavi Simons and this guy for the same 80 million.
And then my last one for you, then, and again, you know how much of a big fan I am of Mbuemo.
Since
Apparently,
when
we're
does he have a
targeting
hairline?
Mbuemo. Hmm?
Since when does he have a hairline?
Hey, big up the editors, man. Big up the editors. Forget that. Forget that, man. He's lit, anyways. I know I shouldn't get excited about rumors, bro. But you always ask me. I think you asked me. Go and make sure you subscribe to Egal's platform, yeah. Because the last stream we did over on his, he asked me, and I'm sure I was waffling about Mbuemo. Now I can't get excited about rumors, but you see me bring this guy to the football club, man. Are you having Mbuemo? Can I convert you over here?
Mbuemo's a baller. I like him.
United
I
are
think
linked as well.
I think if Mbuemo actually did have a hairline, more people would be after him. I think because he looks older than he actually is, people are
25.
like, I think people think he's older than he actually is because of how he looks. He's a really good player. Him and Waste are really good players. But if you're gonna play with an Mbuemo, you have to be quick on the counter and you have to be attacking. and you can't be recycling because he's not a player who plays with what do you call it? He's not a player who plays with the defender in front of him. He's somebody who gets the ball into those dangerous areas, or gets cutbacks, or is in the right. He has the movement of a striker from a wing position.
And I'm on that. I'm unpopular opinion. Obviously, you could play on the right. You could play. I'm sure if you ask him, he'd probably want to play through the middle. Trust me, and Buemo, that left wing could be yours. It could be yours.
Yeah.
It could be yours. And I think the theme of this is we just need
But he's
quality
gonna
into our
be
starting
how
11.
much?
Pardon me?
How much would he cost?
And Buemo,
Yeah.
he's got a year left. Some say he's got an option. I don't know, man. What was it? 50, 60 odd, 25? I'm on it.
This is my thing. If you're gonna go big, get me Gyökeres and Rodrigo. If you're gonna be cheap, get me three.
You still on the Gyökeres thing? I mean, not Gyökeres, Rodrigo. Apparently, Chelsea have thrown their hat into the ring as well.
Yeah, bro. Let Chelsea do their thing. If Chelsea get Rodrigo, that's a baller right there. But if we can't get Rodrigo, get me this guy and get me Xavi Simons. If you can't get Nico Williams or Eze, do something where we
Just
get
make sure you do something.
I want 2 midfielders, 2 attackers, minimum.
Give us how many? Yeah, that's a good way of ending. Yeah, finish your sentence. But like, how many bodies do you actually think we need in positions?
Really and truly, we only need 3. But if you want to be safe, get 4 in those
And
attacking midfield.
That positions.
Now, I'm not even including defense and goalkeeper, because I think we can keep some of our defenders that we have, Kivior and Calafiori. They're ballers.
Big up Kivior, man. I done my apologies for him.
Right? Kivior and Calafiori are good. If you want to keep them, you can keep them. If you want to replace them, you can replace them. If you want to get another backup keeper in, fair play. But I think anywhere between 5 to 6 players minimum.
Yeah.
That's including the goalkeeper. If you say 6, and if you say 5, that's excluding a defender.
Oh, yeah. No, in the ideal world, I would say about 6, 7. I don't see that happening, man. I don't think we're
getting 7, 8 like some people.
We're not going to do that, man. We're not going to do that. I think we need if we just
perfect window. Zubimendi, Gyökeres, Nico Williams, Xavi Simons, and then a goalkeeper. Okay, Eze, Nico Williams, Gyökeres, and Zubimendi.
We got it all to do, man, and I feel sorry for Berta. Obviously, you're getting paid big bucks. You got a good reputation and whatnot, but like naturally, we're gonna look.
We got a real G there.
Exactly, but then again, you know what? Actually, this is a good one as well. Yeah, you see how everyone's saying, you know what, Berta this, Berta that. If it goes left, yeah, am I gonna blame Berta and say Arteta's been not done dirty? Berta hasn't done his job.
Nowhere to hide. It's on him, regardless what happens next season. If we get the same injuries next season, no matter what happens, next season, you have to be more equipped to deal with the problems that we faced this year. If you're not equipped to face the same problems we had this year, you don't have the leeway of saying we won you trophies in the past. You have to deliver this season, and it cannot be a League Cup. It cannot be a FA Cup. It has to be.
You need to get that minimum from
or the Champions League. And I personally think if Arteta did the domestic double, I still wouldn't back him next season.
Wait, what? Say that again?
I think if Arteta did a domestic double, I still would be questioning him heavily next season.
What if he done if he won the FA Cup and the Premier League, you'd still be on him?
If he did a FA Cup, League Cup, for example.
That double.
Yeah, because I'm only judging him based on winning one of the 2 majors.
You need to get something. He needs to get something. He needs to get something. The goalposts move. We all know if he wins the FA Cup or the League Cup, the goalposts start moving. But you're at that point, Arteta.
I'm not.
I don't know about that. I don't know about internally, but externally, you need to get something. Some go as far as to say if we're not in the top 2 in Christmas, Arteta people want to pull the plug, which ain't gonna happen. We're only gonna, in my opinion, unless something might happen.
I've seen somebody be in 4th and come back and win the league from 4th in January.
Yeah, so that's a madness. That we're not only the only time Arteta is gonna. I genuinely think he's gonna get sacked. If he's gonna get sacked, yeah, is if like, what would it be? He signed a new deal in September, so that halfway period, unless you're out of the Champions League places and it's all gone down the shit, that's the only time they
You're
might
moving like
consider your
Paul
future.
Merson. Paul Merson.
Paul Merson was on that, sack him if he's not in the top two. He needs to win some silverware. I think the Prem, we need to go into next season.
Listen,
genuinely believing about the Prem.
We need to do our job to just get the transfers done in the summer. Arsenal need to be reinvigorated. The attack needs to be rejuvenated, and the fans need to be inspired. And if these guys don't do their job to inspire us, it could all go to shit. And that's really their job, to go out this summer, inspire us, and make us believe again. Because a lot of people lost belief. And I think the main reason why they lost belief is not the manager. It's because of the squad not being good enough.
Do you think fans would be wrong if they lost faith in Arteta, though? Not if they were screaming and shouting. They're just like, you know what, I like you, you might not be the guy.
I think fans would be wrong to think everything on why we didn't win is on here.
No. I never said that. I said we're not talking about the hyper extensions. Let's just say if there's them fans, they're like, you know what, Arteta, you've taken us from 8th to 2nd. You might not be the guy. Like, are they wrong for thinking that or losing belief in the gaffer?
Until we win it, they can say that, and they're correct.
Fair play. Egal has not only been sick, I've kept him over here longer for you lot people, so I'd appreciate it if you all smash the like button on his latest vid and make sure you're subscribing. What content you got to come out today or whenever you're next?
I got a video with me, George, and what do you call it, Kaz, in about 15 minutes. So if you can redirect, I'd appreciate it. But yeah,
let's do that now before we go.
That's pretty much it.
Is it live?
Yeah, it's I'm live at 3:30. We're doing a Europa League preview with the two of them, and we're gonna just.
Why are you doing that? You ain't got no cup final to worry about, mate.
No, because you know what? I'm like, let me get my boys on to talk football, and plus, I haven't been able to do some of my regular content. I've been doing more uploads lately because there's so much transfer content. It should be there.
It's not coming up on YouTube.
I'll put it in the private. 1 second. It is there. It should be public.
I'm looking in the.
Just check the private. I sent it to you. You should be able to copy paste that into there.
Yeah, man. It's gonna have to be that thing. Take that.
There you go. Oh yeah, bro. I've been getting cooked online for the last 48 hours, but wallahi, I couldn't care less. It's just a situation where
just the internet, man. Don't take it seriously, bro.
It's a situation where football's not fair, and you point it out, people get mad. But
people get mad, man. Like, what other walk of life do grown men get upset?
Lippy said to me, "Yo, you're Egal West this season." He's basically saying you're as bad as Kanye West. I'm like, what the fuck? that guy's a nutcase. Anyways.
Oh man, you're a better man than me. I've got all my mentions muted, man. Like, even it's quite bad because some people show love,
bro,
but you
can mute it as much as you want. But when you get 77 replies, 77,000 replies, you're
yeah. What you did, fuck, you know. I don't know what to say. That's mad. That's mad.
Like 7,700 replies on 2 tweets last night. My phone was just going ding, ding, ding. I swear.
Drop your video under it, man. Like, all promos, good promo, my guy. At least that, because then who's really like 70? What did you say? 70-odd people dissing it. Imagine 2 people just go on your channel like, oh, I rather like him, or 2 people or 10 people say, you know, I fucking hate his takes, but then they're smashing like buttons and they're leaving comments. You win. Like, you actually win. He's tired. So yeah, man, it is what it is. But you heard the man. Let's give him a bit of a break until he cuts. Starts at 3:30. Egal, you know it's always love. Again, hated, adored, but never ignored. We're redirecting. One love, my guy.
There you go. Done now.
Come on, safe.
Have a good one, guys.